Hey everyone, Nora here with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. It's time to review the girls from another world, Emilia and Rem. And you know what? They might just replace my sister Blanc and I. So I'll talk about Emilia and Rem together, but focus on their individual strengths too. So let's take a look at their skills, gear builds, squads, and damage tests. Rem is a burst 2 water support with a machine gun. All of her skills are very good, but skill 1 is the top priority for upgrades. The reason is that this will increase her damage the most, which will also increase her healing ability. Skill 2 is very good, but is the lowest priority for upgrades. In fact, you might not need to upgrade as much at all if you have an otherwise highly invested Rem. That's not because the skill is bad. It heals your entire squad but works in tandem with skill 1. So if you upgrade skill 1 to level 7 or 10, skill 2 can stay at 4 and still do big heals. However, if you don't have many copies of her, or high levels in your recycling room, you might want to get this up to 7 to make sure your heals keep up. Rem's burst is a 20-second cooldown, so she can be your only burst 2 on a squad. And with her healing and attack buffs, you really don't need to worry about using any other supports on your squad. Even though her burst is useful if you're pairing her with Black Shadow, her buff might not even be that impactful, but for most rocket launchers it will be much appreciated. I would probably get it to at least level 7. Black Shadow's just so strong on her own. The buff doesn't seem to make that big of a difference. The ammo whip ability is really nice for reducing reloads during valuable full burst times. The critical rate of effect on herself is just mid. That said, Rem can be very effective secondary DPS, and if you are stacking a lot of crit with overload lines and her volume, this gets more valuable. It just depends how you want to use her. Speaking of how to use her, let's take a look at squads. The best burst 1 to use with her will almost always be Leader. Leader is good with basically everyone, but stacking more attack buffs and max ammo from her works well with Rem. Volume is going to be your second best burst 1 option, particularly if you are leaning into a crit build. Dorothy works well against fire bosses such as Chatterbox or the upcoming solo raid boss Nihilister. But for most raids, you probably want them on separate teams to spread out your water damage. For new players, if you don't have these top tier units, Jaggel's a decent option with her damage sharing ability combined with Rem's healing. And even N102 should not be forgotten. By the way, new players, have you checked out 777? My sister and I worked so hard to put on a good show for you. So anyways, then you can run 3 burst 3 DPS units. No other supports are needed with Rem. The best DPS is Black Shadow Scarlet combined with Alice. This has been the highest DPS combo ever since Black Shadow's release. Previously, they would go with the schoolgirls, who might still be the highest and cutest damage squad, but Rem is very close. And for your third DPS, you could use A2, Modernia, Winter Lamilla, or Emilia. Now I haven't forgotten about Emilia, I'm getting to her very soon. Now Vesti is a solid option if you don't have all the pilgrims or miss the limited collab units I just mentioned. She will also be helpful for the upcoming solo raid against Nihilister. I think the best squad for campaign or other 1 squad modes is Leader, Rem, Black Shadow Scarlet, Alice, and Modernia. This is an extremely high DPS squad with multiple stacking buffs. This will also probably work well for raids too because it does not share other important units needed in other squads. If you pair her with A2, you'll want to get her skills to at least level 7 or higher, or get her to max limit break and affection level 30 to reliably keep her in B mode. At lower levels, A2 can easily be knocked out of it if she takes any real damage from enemies. I hope you're learning as much as I have so far. If you are, please subscribe. I'll give you luck. Now before I get into gear, I want to remind you that Rem is a unit that scales well with investment. Unlike some that have diminishing returns, Rem wants more and more of everything. Consider this when deciding how to use your gems and other resources. She's definitely usable at 1 copy, but if you do only have 1 and don't have an account with a lot of custom modules and manufacturer gear to get the best rolls, you might struggle to duplicate results you see from Whales or this video. Because her abilities all scale from base values, not final stats from buffs and gear. Remember, even a high-level recycling room can make a big difference in how effective damage and healing is compared to newer accounts. For overload lines, max ammo is the highest priority, as it is with so many other units. I would try to get at least 2 lines. Attack is the next and most important because she can actually do a huge amount of damage on her own, even though she's a support. Elemental damage is the next best, especially for solo raids. You could argue that this is even more important than attack because attack up won't help her abilities anyways. Hit rate is always good for machine gun users and getting core hits. Crit rate / crit damage are also decent filler lines. Ignore defense and obviously charge effects. Bastion Cube is best in slot. It's one of the best cubes in general and particularly valuable for machine guns. If you don't have enough open slots, and it's being used by one of your main DPS units, the hit rate up cube is a decent alternative. The Wingman Cube for more max ammo is probably the third best, but you're kinda just coping at that point. In PvP, she's mid. I wouldn't add her to an arena team unless you really don't have enough units. Her burst gen isn't great, and all of her other buffs and damage rely on extended time periods that you just don't have in most PvP matches. And now let's go to Emilia. Emilia is Rem's best friend, but she's proven to be more than capable on her own. She's a water-type burst 3 attacker with a rocket launcher. She also has some of the best burst generation in the game, only being outdone by Anise and Senti. If you are a new player, Rem and Emilia are the basis for a very powerful squad. So Emilia's first skill 1 increases her own charge speed and charge damage if you attack with full charges. This means if you have another rocket launcher or sniper on the squad, you want a quick charge with them, not Emilia, or you won't get the buffs. Skill 2 is her most important, and if you invest a lot into any of them, this is the one because of her fixed damage effect. This is a big boost to your overall damage in PvP and against bosses. Level 7 is the tipping point that gets you 3 extra rounds instead of 2, and going beyond that won't get you any more. Her burst has a huge AoE. It does massive damage in a single shot. You can't do one-shot boss kills like with Snow White, but it is possible to deal 50% more on an interception boss with a single burst. The more parts a boss has, the better, so you can deal damage to all of them all in one shot. This makes her particularly good against Train, Chatterbox, and Nihilister. Overload lines with charge speed is very important because you usually want to use full charges, and her burst also takes quite a while to charge. Because she's a DPS, attack and elemental damages are very valuable too. Max ammo is also a very good idea on Emilia because she gets buffs from her skill 1 based on max ammo. For cubes, Wingman is an excellent choice if you don't get good max ammo rolls from your gear. Otherwise, Resilience for reload is a good choice and it'll probably be your most built cube anyways. Charge speed is also a great choice to boost with a cube. It just really depends on what you got from overloads. When you make a squad for PvE, Ren will be her best friend because she gets all the best buffs from her. Leader is the best burst 1, Decaled Wife is a strong choice too. I would say avoid Dorothy because they want opposite ammo buffs. However, us bunnies, my sister Blanc and I, are a great choice because I give her ammo. And your other burst 3 could be just about anyone, but Maxwell has great synergy. Modernia, Vesti, Alice, Scarlet, etc. can work too. If you missed Winter Ludmilla, Emilia is super valuable as she's the second best water DPS in the game. If you do have both, you can double up on water damage. As good as Emilia is against bosses and small stages like zone control, she is even better in arena. This is where her and Rem part ways. Emilia can be used as your primary burst 3, particularly to counter Noah by waiting out her invincibility and then blasting their whole team. This isn't usually what you really want to do in Special Arena, and she's actually even better as a secondary DPS. As I mentioned earlier, she has super strong burst gen, and just her normal attacks already do a lot of damage, especially because of her skill 2 effect. Wow, are you surprised that I know so much? Let us know if you have any questions or if you learned more new things about our new friends Rem and Emilia. Sending you lots of luck, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this video.